Now, on Thursday, the Senate voted to confirm Mike Pompeo as our next Secretary of State. That's, of course, the chief diplomat of the United States. And, of course, Mike Pompeo is a controversial choice. And nonetheless, the Senate decided to confirm Pompeo with 57 to 42, basically with the help of course, some Democrats. And do you want to guess who they are? Well, you've got Heidi Heitkamp of North Dakota, Joe Donnelly of Indiana, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Bill Nelson of Florida, Claire McCaskill of Missouri, and, of course, Doug Jones of Alabama. Wow, Doug Jones, what a great job that you're doing voting with Trump. Hey, is this what the resistance looks like? Now, these Democrats, of course, they're doing this for a reason. 5 of them are up for re-election in states where Trump had won a majority. So, of course, in order to make sure that they win, they will vote with Trump. So they're conservative Democrats. Now, that's disastrous because that means that we're going to end up getting, or we now have, a dangerous person like Pompeo as our chief diplomat. Again, a little problematic, and let me go into the reasons why. So here's a little background, right? Now, Pompeo is, of course, a very deeply conservative evangelical Christian. And he has said before that, quote, America has worshipped other gods and called it multiculturalism. We've endorsed perversion and called it an alternative lifestyle, referring, of course, to same-sex marriage and transgender rights. And he believes that politics is, quote, a never-ending struggle. That is until the rapture. So we have a rapture believer now as our Secretary of State. Oh, well, that's fantastic. So this is a guy who believes that the big Jesus vacuum cleaner is going to hoover people up into heaven. Now, here's the thing, right? According to one of my evangelical friends, right, used to be a pastor, that's actually a complete misreading of the Bible. And that's something that a very small minority of Christians actually believe. It's not a thing in mainstream Christianity. Now, this belief in itself is dangerous because in order for the rapture to happen, it literally has to be the end times. So what has to happen for it to be the end times? Well, some very important foreign policy decisions. For one, of course, Jerusalem now has to be the new capital of Israel. So in order to do that, of course, you would have to destroy the mosque that's sitting on there and move it to, and move the capital and all that stuff to that area. Now, look, that's something that Muslims, Christians, and Jewish people hold very holy. Now, I don't think it's very holy. I think it's ridiculous superstition. But there are so many people that believe that that area is holy. That's why people are fighting over it. When you give it to Jewish people, well, there's going to be a lot of very, very angry Muslims. So they're not going to be happy about this. So again, that's one thing that has to happen. Another thing that has to happen is that all the Jews have to go back to Israel. Okay. Now, when they get there, they have to convert to Christianity or get destroyed when Jesus comes back. So there goes the Jews. They die. Now, the Muslims, of course, well, they're not evangelical, so they're going to die. The atheists die, the Buddhists die, everybody dies except for the people that get hoovered into heaven. This is insanity. So it sucks for everybody except for a very small portion of the American public. That portion who voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly by 86%. They showed up to the polls and they said, we want this guy because we believe God wants this guy. And everything that he does is fantastic. Not only that, but everything that Mike Pompeo does is also awesome because we think that he's going to herald in the rapture. So that's what's dangerous about this guy, okay? They want Armageddon. They want to lead us to the destruction of basically humanity. Now, that's not going to happen, but what could happen is, as a result of this, is many disastrous Middle Eastern wars, which are going to kill hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. So, look, Now, if Pompeo, and this is the question, if Pompeo is that much of a believer, will his beliefs have impacts on his foreign policy decisions? That is the danger, right? Well, let's see. Let's kind of dive into that. According to a recent report from TOIT Investigates, written by Ken Klippenstein, Pompeo had also already allegedly brought his rapture theology into the CIA. Remember, he was director of the CIA. Now, Michael Weinstein, founder of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, that's a watchdog group that on issues of religious freedom in the military and in the intelligence community, told Klippenstein that Pompeo had talked about the rapture at the CIA during his tenure as director there. So this is a guy who was very open about this very specific belief. Like, yes, I believe that the rapture is going to happen. I believe that we need to get ready for that rapture and do whatever we can to bring it forward, to fight for it. And there's video of him saying that. Now, Weinstein has also told Klippenstein that his group had received complaints from personnel about Pompeo's introduction of this overtly religious behavior into the workplace, including those rapture references. Now, they said, quote, "He is intolerant of anyone who isn't a fundamental Christian." So, oh boy. So anybody who doesn't share his fundamentalist beliefs is somebody that Pompeo will be very intolerant of. Well, that's not good if you're dealing with other nations who have different religions than you. For example, a lot of the countries in the Middle East. So, now, not only that, but the people that worked under him at the CIA that came to us were never confused. They never had time to be confused. They were shocked, and then they were scared shitless. So that's what people who worked under him think about Mike Pompeo. Now, not only that, but according to congressional disclosure forms, Pompeo seems to have a very special interest in Israel. Well, if Israel is basically the linchpin of your belief system, we got to make sure that, of course, the capital of Israel is moved to Jerusalem so that we can get all the Jews back so we can start Armageddon, then yes, you would have a very special interest in that country. Now, in August of 2011, when Pompeo was still a member of the House, he and his wife took a week-long first-class trip to Israel, paid for and planned by the American Israel Education Foundation. Now, that came at a cost of $27,532. Now, that foundation happens to be affiliated with AIPAC. Now, that's one of the biggest lobbying groups in the United States. So they lobby a lot of our senators, a lot of our congressmen, and they end up, of course, helping pay for trips to Israel. Now, while Pompeo was there, he, of course, he basically fraternized a lot with the right-wing party of Israel. That's the Likud party, which is led by Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, one official in particular that he seemed to have hit it off with was Ron Dermer. Now, Dermer, of course, when he had visited, was an advisor to Netanyahu. Now, Dermer, of course, had come under criticism for accepting an award from an organization designated by the Southern Poverty Law Center as an anti-Muslim hate group. Now, that group was founded and is run by Frank Gaffney. Now, Gaffney, of course, is a far-right figure known for his rampant Islamophobia. In fact, this guy is so nuts that he believes that Grover Norquist, this is a guy that I would never defend or would never consider defending. He's the guy that makes everybody sign that anti-tax pledge. You will never, ever raise taxes, ever, on any corporation or any rich person. You will never raise taxes, right? So he's the guy who goes around and makes everybody sign that stupid, ridiculous pledge. Gaffney thinks that guy is a Muslim plant, that he is a member of the Muslim Brotherhood. You can't get any more cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on that. Now, of course, Pompeo and Gaffney happen to be really good buddies. In fact, so much so that Gaffney has been on Mike Pompeo's radio show. Now, Pompeo told Gaffney on his show that he believes that there are organizations and networks here in the United States that are tied to radical Islam in deep and fundamental ways. He says they're not just in places like Libya and Syria and Iraq, but in places like Coldwater, Kansas, and small towns all throughout America. So understand what this means. This guy believes that there is creeping Sharia, right? The Muslims have taken over Coldwater. They're deep in Kansas. They're planning, like they got the sleeper cells of jihadists hanging out in rural America. That's, again, bonkers. But that's who this guy is. That's what he believes in. So as I said, he's knee-deep in anti-Muslim rhetoric, of course. He's also a friend of the right wing in Israel. Now, the right wing in Israel, unfortunately, tends to profit off the conflicts with the Palestinians and conflicts and enough war, basically. And so far, right now, the government has been killing innocent Palestinian protesters. So Mike Pompeo's a friend of that. Not only that, but again, he believes in this ridiculous rapture theory. Now, look, I don't know if any of that will play out into his policy positions, and that's my biggest worry. Okay, with someone like Pompeo at the head, will we end up getting involved in more disastrous Middle Eastern wars in order to fulfill that prophecy, right? And again, that's the danger when you have fundamentalists, religious fundamentalists. It doesn't matter if it's Christian fundamentalist or Muslim fundamentalist, Jewish fundamentalist. It doesn't matter. Any fundamentalist that gets power obviously uses it to further their religion. Now, going back to the Democrats who actually confirmed this monster, that just shows you. And the reason that they're doing it, of course, is because, well, Trump won in my state, and I want to win re-election. That's it. That's why I'm going to go and I'm going to support these crazy people. Doesn't matter who it is. If Trump nominates them, it's more likely they're going to get my vote, and they're going to sail through, which is exactly what happened with Pompeo. Then it just shows you how these people put political expedience over the well-being of the country and possibly the world. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.